Hello there. Welcome to another review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 6. This time, I'm going to do a breakdown of the episode and then give you my overall thoughts on it. So without further ado, let's dive right in. We open with an Imperial Star Destroyer tracking a small remote ship with Quarrens on them. At first I thought this was going to be Moff Gideon, but nope, it turns out to be Axe Wolves, leading Bo's Mandalorian force now. They've been hired by the Calamarians to track down their prince who escaped with his Quarren because they're in love. We get a little Romeo and Juliet in space as he insists on staying behind, but eventually relents. Bo tracks the Mandalorians to Plazier 15 accompanied by Mando and Grogu. I was actually surprised they went with her. In the previous episode, it seemed like the armor gave the task to just Bo, but in the episode recap, it does emphasize that Din owes Bo for saving his life, so in that case it makes sense they're helping her. So, just as they decide to land outside the fleet's area and go on foot, they are grabbed by Plazier 15's force and forced to dock nearby. They are greeted by two droids painted black, which I thought looked sick. They board this transport pod that travels super fast, reminding me of a bullet train from Japan, and are brought to a fancy table where we get cameos from Lizzo and Jack Black, leaders of Plazier 15. They take Bo, Din, and Grogu to watch the view and explain that they have a droid problem. Bo says that it doesn't concern them, but Jack Black persuades her by saying that Plazier 15 will recognize this as an act of diplomacy, thereby formally recognizing Mandalore as a sovereign system, and can petition the New Republic to treat it as such. So, they agree, leaving Grogu behind. From there, we go to a monitoring room where we get another cameo from Christopher Lloyd, best known for the Back to the Future trilogy. He tells them about the malfunctioning droids, how it started as one incident and continued to lead to another and another. He goes on to say that they can't deactivate all the droids because their society depends on them. This kind of reminds me of Wall-E, or even society today, because we're so dependent on the internet that it becomes a necessity. To get the list of malfunctioning droids, he points Bo and Din towards the Ugnaughts. They find the Ugnaughts down below, and Bo tries to talk to them, but they ignore her, as her way of talking insults them. Din, having experience with Creo, talks to them in a nicer manner, ending with the famous "I have spoken" line. With Din's well-mannered talk, they get the list. The list takes them to the docks. It's great to see battle droids again, as I love them from the prequels. Din starts waving at them first, then proceeds to kick them to see if they'll respond. This is where the good cop and bad cop part starts kicking in. Bo is the good cop trying to ask questions while Din just goes in and starts kicking things randomly, until one of the droids reacts and runs away. We then get a chase scene with the droid kicking and dropping things, hoping to slow Bo and Din down. Din takes another route through a restaurant and pounces on the droid as Bo guns it down. Bo finds a spark pad conveniently with an address that leads him to a droid bar. The droid bar is interesting to say the least. I thought it was kind of funny how they have all this oil with a tube attached to them like they're drinking. Bo starts questioning the bartender droid when Din pulls the bad cop again, threatening it. It actually makes Din kind of look like a dick. Bo pulls him aside again, and they have the same bickering between good cop and bad cop. The bartender droid tells them that he wants to help, fearing that if these attacks continue, the droids will be replaced by humans. It tells them that all the droids malfunctioned, all drank from the same batch of Nepenthe. After that, we get a scene straight from a CSI cop show, where they examine a corpse, taking a sample of the blood and examine the DNA. But since it's Disney, of course it's a droid. Just then, one of the medical droids starts randomly attacking everything, but Din makes quick work of it with a dark saber. They discover nanodroids in the Nepenthe with a chain code leading them conveniently back to Christopher Lloyd. Bo and Din confront him, and he reveals that he's a separatist. As he gives his long villain speech, Bo quickly shoots a shock dart at him, knocking him out. Meanwhile, Jack Black and Lizzo are playing this game and Grogu uses the Force to help them out. Bo and Din arrive with Christopher Lloyd and he confesses his crimes. What's weird though is that one moment he's completely defiant, but the next he does a complete 180 and says he's sorry. That's just bad writing. Din and Bo get gifted the keys to the city and Grogu gets knighted. They then head to Axe Wolves' Mandalorians. There, Bo challenges him to a duel and emerges victorious. Axe tells Bo she should be challenging Din in order to get the Darksaber and become a true leader. She reprimands him, saying that enough Mandalorians have died at the hands of other Mandalorians. Axe says Din doesn't have a drop of Mandalorian blood in him, but Bo tells him that Din has walked the way, as their ancestors did, giving him the same right to be Mandalorian as they were. Axe continues, saying according to their ways, the ruler of Mandalore must possess the Darksaber. So Din gives Bo the Darksaber, telling them she defeated his captor back in episode 2, therefore she has the right to wield it. Axe finally admits that she does, and the episode ends with her igniting the blade. Overall, I thought this episode had a lot of CSI type of vibe to it, but with droids. Investigating accidents, a chase scene, examining corpses, taking blood tests and examining the DNA. Some of it was okay, but ultimately this was all just filler material. We didn't get any progression with the main story. I would have been okay if this was a filler episode out of a 16 to 20 episode season, but the fact that we have 2 episodes left, yet we have no clue where the direction of the story is headed, is just sad. Also, I think the way Bo got the blade from Din felt very cheap, and the fact that Axe just accepts it so easily is even more annoying. Like, come on man, at least have a battle or something. There's also way too many conveniences in this episode. It's just bad writing. I give this a 6 out of 10. This season has been a genuine step down for me from the previous season of The Mandalorian. I'll still watch the last 2 episodes, but I don't think it can save the season. Well, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Until then, see you next time.